The Minnesota Vikings prevail in London, beat the Jets, and come out 5-0. That's right.
5-0. That's incredible. Going into the bye. Awesome feeling for you guys. Chargers coming out of the bye. Man, let's get back to football. But if you're with us, thank you so much. Welcome to another episode of the BuiBros Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Quinn Bowie, and I, of course, cheer for the LA Chargers. But this episode is about my brother Brandon and who?
The Minnesota Vikings. Woo, woo, woo. Yes, as I mentioned, we'll be looking at this game that we had last week on Sunday. We'll kind of be going over some details, kind of talk about how the game actually went, the feel of the game. It was similar, but also different from the week prior. Another one-score game, which isn't always the most fun, but a win is the most fun. So it's kind of
get those away, push those back to 2023.
Yeah, exactly. It was closer. We spoke last week about how Green Bay never possessed the ball when it was a one-score game. This wasn't that. We could start at the end here. The Jets had the ball when down by 6. And they were pushing the ball up the field. And if not for a Stephon Gilmore interception to seal the game, it was looking a little dire for sure.
Yeah, no, we were watching together, and I remember saying, like, it just sucks that the guy on the other side is Aaron Rodgers, and his resume when it comes to fourth quarter comebacks and those come from behind victories. Is there anybody better? So the fact that your defense, it's really the story of your team this year. They were able to lock it down, pick it off, and that's all she wrote.
Yeah,
you go. Successful trip to London on the way back and a long vacation, and on to the next opponent.
Yeah, exactly. So, we can start out with the game. The offense couldn't really get too much going. It was unfortunate. The Jets D was very tough. You could feel it like the whole game. Yeah, there was a bunch of, they had a bunch of penalties and stuff, a bunch of PI calls that were possibly soft. You know what I mean? A lot of people were talking about that after the game. But they were all over the receivers. It was very tight coverage. It felt tight, even when you can't see what's going on down the field from the view of the broadcast, you can see Darnold was having trouble for sure, kind of deciding where to go with the ball. But somehow, mostly in part to a Andrew Van Ginkel pick 6, the 5th of Rodgers' career, which is wild. We got a pick 6 on the defense, which brought us up at that point. It probably brought us up to 10-0.
Right.
And then we got another touchdown off a CJ Ham run, which is actually pretty nice. It was a clever play. So we started off 17-0, which, we were familiar with from the week prior, going 28-0. And then it kind of all unraveled from there. Right. Again, it wasn't all unanswered, but I believe at one point it got up to 20 for the Vikings to 17 for the Jets. And you're like, oh geez, like this is happening. So when we needed them to go, the offense to go up and score a touchdown to make it a 2-point lead, they weren't able to. They settle for a field goal, and now the Jets have the ball. And then this is where we talked about the Jets driving down the field with 6 points to go, and then throwing that interception, which was unfortunate for them, very fortunate for us. But again, like you said, the defense led us. There was a pick 6, Andrew Van Ginkel, another pick from Cam Bynum, and then another pick from Stephon Gilmore. And those 3 things there, we lose the game if we don't have those, right? So,
well, that's exactly it. Like, I'm looking over at the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, he threw 54 passes.
Yeah.
54 passes, only for 244 yards, those two touchdowns, and those 3 interceptions that you talked about.
Yeah.
You guys kept Breece Hall in check. 9 carries for 23 yards. Garrett Wilson had himself a game for the season. You know, like that was their one bright spot: 13 receptions, 1-on-1, and 1 touchdown. But yeah, the game got a lot closer than it needed to. Good thing you guys are able to start strong and start fast, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But now the second half play, making those adjustments when necessary, just to maintain that level, put the pedal to the metal, and just all 4 quarters.
Hmm.
I think that's a lot better. Let's go back to the winning ways of the early season
Yeah.
and dominate opponents a bit more.
The first 3 wins were much more dominant, and they felt a lot more secured. Um, the last 2 wins have been pretty dicey, and so the team really has to kind of step up a little bit. We're going into the bye week now, so we can kind of recoup and regroup. Hopefully, coaches can kind of tighten things up a bit. But our offense, yeah, this game it's hard because was it really the offense? Or was it just the Jets defense? You know what I mean? I think that we were doing quite well early in the game. But then the major problem was that Aaron Jones hurt his hip. And so
Right.
we've actually learned now that he's week to week, which isn't very nice. Um, and
Oh,
so,
I thought it wasn't too bad, and the bye week is going to be just perfect. I mean, still could
yeah,
be, still
it
could be.
still could be. He still could play when we come out. You know, we'll assess next week at this point, and hopefully he's day to day then. But yeah, Aaron Jones went out, and we couldn't get any run game going. Ty Chandler had 14 carries for 30 yards, so just over 2 yards a carry, which doesn't do much for you. So the defense was able to just kind of buckle down in the secondary, and Sam Darnold had nowhere to go. It was 14 of 31, which is pretty bad for 179 yards and an interception. So, um, yeah, it was the offense wasn't producing very much, and that was largely in part, I think, to Aaron Jones going down. Right, we don't have him. We don't have a run
Right.
game now. Now we're kind of one dimensional, and the Jets D is so good that they can kind of hone in on just the passing game. So it was tough. They made it very, very tough, and their offense couldn't get too much going as well, which is good for us. But that's also probably because of our defense as well. Brees Hall 9 carries for 23 yards, also pretty horrible.
Yeah,
Um,
that's rough.
it's rough. It's rough out there. Like these, Braylon Allen only had 13 yards again on 5 rushes, but then Aaron Jones, yeah, he had 7 rushes for 29 yards. So 29 yards isn't much, but on only 7 carries, so four average, 4.1 average. But it's just the threat of him. When you watched him, it actually felt all right. If he's getting 4 yards every play, that feels pretty good. Um, and so it was the threat of him gone, and then the way that Ty Chandler was running. Sorry, it made us really one dimensional, and the defense it was rough out there. And when you watch the game, it was tight. Like their defense, the Jets defense was very, very good. So yeah.
And may I say something? Like just a little side note: Jets defense been playing lights out. Who's in charge of the Jets defense over there?
Mm,
Excuse me, asterisk. Who was in charge of the Jets
right.
defense over there? Robert Saleh. And it's the offense that's been sputtering, and we all know the Nathaniel Hackett story from his tenure with the Broncos. But is this another case? Our friend was talking about Aaron Rodgers having a say in this, and I sure hope not. The guy's maybe gonna be there one more year, but after the way this year is going, he very well could look to retire. But Robert Saleh getting fired, not going to be coaching anywhere else during the 2024 season. Shocking move there.
Yeah,
The
it
Vikings,
is.
the Vikings took the first victim, got the
Yes.
first coach fired in the 2024
It's
season.
tough, right? I've read a couple different reports on why he was fired or this, that. I don't think anybody has any real answers at this point if Aaron was involved or not. But yeah, we claim the first victim, like you said. It happens, right? But we're a 5-0 team, right? Like we're an undefeated team. Losing to the undefeated team isn't really, you can't be satisfied with it. But it's not really
Right.
like that's not the fireable offense, right? I don't know. Something else is going on there, but yeah, they had a lot of penalties, and that could be a coaching issue, right? So maybe you see that and you say that they lost because of these penalties, and that could be a very fair point. Our offense didn't get much going, but we had a lot of let's see, penalty yards. Yeah, they had 11 penalties for 80 yards. But honestly, we were 8 for 76, so maybe not that much different. But your defense, or like you get 80 yards worth of penalties. That's all, obviously not all on the defense, but 11 accepted penalties is a lot. So
Right.
that really
Yeah,
helped us out. Oh, I had that
100%.
flipped actually. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Oh geez, we had 11 penalties for 80 yards, and they had 8 for 76.
Both undisciplined.
Both
Both
undisciplined, I guess,
undisciplined. But the
right? I don't
difference is
remember us
Kevin
having that
O'Connell
many. That's a
is
lot.
winning, and so okay, let's tighten it up because we can win even more. You know, I want to go back to the point of Aaron Jones and the impact that he has on your offense, right? I also saw he had one catch for 24 yards.
Yeah.
Huge. You know,
Huge.
he's probably one of those screen plays, if not just a check down. But you also at the time had a huge advantage for your time of possession. Right? We talked about this in the game where
did
you
early.
got very close. And when I look now, it was almost 50-50. The Vikings had 30 minutes and 37 seconds to 29-23 for the Jets. So having Aaron Jones being able to run the ball and even, you know, have the extension to the run play with those screens, keep the clock rolling, that really helped with your time of possession. That helps put away teams, especially with quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers. That's the formula. That's the secret sauce to winning against those guys. Keep them off the field. So the fact that they were able to come up and pretty much tie in terms of time of possession, that says a whole lot. And I think to your point earlier about the importance of Aaron Jones for this offense. So hopefully this bye week he heals up. That hip isn't too bad, and he's ready and he's back in purple in week 7.
Yeah, hopefully. And like you said, that time of possession was killer. We had a lot of 3 and outs quite early. Later in the game. Sorry, like early on, it felt all right, but still, like the offense scored 17 points, right? Or 16 points. We scored 16 points, so we had 1 touchdown, and then, excuse me, 3 field goals, which our kicker was amazing. He had 250 plus, and then a pretty short one, I think. He was awesome, but he was stellar for us, right? So the offense, we didn't really do too much. 16 points is not great, you know. 1 touchdown is not good. So there was a lot of issues that stemmed from Aaron Jones being out of the game, but at the same time, even when he was in there, we didn't have too much going for us, right? That 1 catch that you're talking about, the 1 catch, 24 yards, that was actually the 1 play that Nick Mullins came in, and it was a wheel route, I believe, or he lined up out wide, I'm not sure. And it was a good play. We got 24 yards, but I think that's where Aaron Jones actually hurt himself. It was a big jump ball, and he kind of landed funny, I think hurt his hip there. Mullins didn't really lead
collateral
him.
damage, and take it back, but
Yeah. It was tough.
Yeah.
And like Mullins, yeah, great. He went out there, I think 3rd down, and then, you know, got us the first on a 24-yard pass. But if he led him with the pass, maybe it would have been, not so much of a hurtful ball there. So it was, you know, there's good things to take out of the game. Like there's a lot to clean up, a lot of good tape for us to watch and say, this is where you messed up. This is where I messed up. This is where we can improve. All that kind of stuff. Same coming out of Green Bay. So hopefully it's not a trend that we start hot and then have a pretty poor second half. But if that is going to be the case moving forward, we got to be pretty hot to start, right? You know, that's how you win those games. So we, you know, when we needed it most in the Green Bay game at the end of the game, we had a great drive. And also in the San Francisco game when we needed it most. And when we needed it most in this one, we actually had a pretty decent drive that took time off the clock. We marched down the field, but the field goal didn't really change too much. And we were talking when we were watching,
Right. Yep.
You get that field goal, and now the Jets have to go for a touchdown, which means they're going for it on every 4th down, which is scary. You know, whereas they might tie the game if they were only down by 3. So it is good to get those points on the board. But also, if they have to go for the touchdown and they do it, then they win. So it kind of gives us a little bit less breathing room. You know, we can't make as many errors. We have to actually stop them 4 downs consecutively. Right?
Yeah, that's tough to be on one side or the other there, right?
Yeah.
But hey, it worked out in the end.
It did.
It worked out. Holy, another successful week for the Vikings, and probably one of the biggest surprises of the season so far. The only other undefeated team, everybody could see that happening, right?
Kansas City Chiefs, that's right.
Yikes. So we'll see. I think the Chiefs are also on bye this week, so the 2 undefeated teams get to have a little bit of rest and soak it in. Live a little.
Yeah, we can't drop from the top spot, both teams, right? So because another team could go to 5-1, but they're still 5-1, and we're 5-0. So, yeah, it'll be a good bye week. I'm hoping Aaron Jones can get healthier and the team can kind of clean up some things. So we'll see.
Yep. No, that's great. Well, to the bye week, to rest. Congratulations to the Minnesota Vikings and the 5-0 start. Well deserved. Awesome to be enjoying the season like this. If you are with us, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. If you are a fan of the Minnesota Vikings, the LA Chargers, or NFL in general, we want to start a community. Say hi in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. Really does help us out. Like the video and hit that notification bell. Make sure you don't miss any of these videos that come out each and every week. All right, Brandon, send us off.
Okay, everybody, 5-0 into the bye. We're all very happy about that. Only one thing left to say, and that is Skol Bolts.
Skol Bolts!
Yeah, baby.
See you.
Okay.
7.
See ya.